Hi, I'm Kim Laprie from the Teachers Need Teachers podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of My EdTech Life. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning, and hopefully anywhere that you are, whether it's morning or afternoon, you have had a beautiful, wonderful, productive, or maybe even restful day. But wherever it is that you may be in the world, wherever it is that you're joining us from, watching, thank you so much for being here and being part of my PLF, my personal learning family. Thank you guys for all of your support as usual from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for making this show what it is today. And today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. One of my, I can honestly say she's probably one of my best friends, even though I've never really met her at all whatsoever in real life. But throughout the interactions through online and, of course, getting ready for remote and global GEG and all these activities, she's definitely always been one to show her support. So today I am really happy and honored to have the always wonderful Bonnie Chelette here joining us today on our show. So Bonnie, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I love your intro video. I love it. So the other day when we were when you had Steph Rothstein on, my daughter was watching it with me. And at this point she's 9, but she's just familiar with all this ed tech stuff. And she's like, "Who is this guy?" She's like, I mean, it was so funny. And I said, he bought Girl Scout cookies from you. And she was like, it was so funny.
Yeah. Oh, she's great. Sadie, remember I sent her those pins too and everything like that, and the stickers. So Sadie's something else. She
had on my EdTech Life. I think it's still in her book sack.
Yeah. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us here, Bonnie, today. And just for our audience members or listeners that'll be rewatching the show, just if you can just let us know a little bit about yourself and your context in education.
Yeah, I am lucky enough to be a district technology facilitator for the East Baton Rouge Parish School System. So I get to work. We're a pretty large district. We have like 40,000 students. So I work mainly with the high schools. And then we're going to have a transition this summer, and I'll be back to all of the middle and high schools. And I'm just kind of like a Swiss Army knife for them. Like, what do you need? I find every little school is different. So it's kind of my job to figure out what they need and how I can fix it. Before that, I taught for 11 years at Westdale Middle School. I taught social studies. So I'm back, my master's and stuff is actually just in history. It has nothing to do with technology. And I taught social studies, which deep down is very much still my passion. And, I taught, like I said, at a middle school, which is like the worst people, but at the same time, I get excited when I get to work with middle schools because I feel like those is just a special type of teacher.
So. Oh yeah, no, most definitely. Middle school teachers are definitely very different from elementary and high school, and and as it should be. I mean, even in for kindergarten teachers, I'm like, it really takes a special teacher. So even between certain grade levels, you can get granular. But I love the way that you described yourself. It's like the Swiss Army knife. It's like whatever it is that you need, that is what I'll be, and that is awesome. That is wonderful.
Get new principals. They're like, well, what can you do? I'm like, what do you need? Like, I'll figure it out. And they're like, okay. And so once it takes a while to get, originally that we were going to title this "Why Principals Make Terrible Friends."
Oh, we can go into that too if you'd like. No worries. I just titled it "Break Things
Yes,
and Try
I love
Stuff"
it.
because
That is
that's what
very
it's all about. That's education.
That's pretty much how my life in education started. Is just punching buttons and being like, "Hey, this isn't my working in my class. And I really need it to work. So, like, I need this to work now."
Yeah, that's what I tell teachers. Just get clicky with it. It's like, try it out. Doesn't work. Try something
Well,
else. I mean,
I can remember I had the old active panel with the pen,
oh yeah.
which I never used because you were like chained to the front of your room, and I always had to stand in the back so I could see I have to see everybody, and but I was always like fixing projectors and stuff, and then everybody noticed that like my hall where I was in, everything was always working because it was me. People were like, "Hey, I'm gonna watch your class for 5 minutes. Go fix my projector," you know. That's how all of this started, is me like being hey, can you come fix this? I'll watch your class. And then they gave me like one planning period where I just went around and did that. And then it just kind of grew into a whole position at my school. And I'm very fortunate. I work in a district. I worked at a school that supported me, like that let me try new things, that gave me responsibilities, and believe that I could get it done. And then same for my district. When I got an innovator, I was like, hey, I'm going to need professional leave to go to Singapore. It was, I was like, you don't need to pay for it. I just need professional leave. And it wasn't really a hard sell.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I did have just a little icebreaker and everything. And you just mentioned something, tell us something interesting about yourself. And you mentioned innovator. And of course, you and I have that in common. But I'd like to know just a little bit more about your experience. Maybe our audience members, listeners, innovator season is around the corner. I'm pretty sure that they'll make an announcement soon. So why not just kind of segue into that a little bit, and then we'll just see where the conversation takes us, because that's what we do. We're just winging it today. No, I'm just kidding.
I would like to say, Alfonso sent his app to Stephanie Rothstein. And I remember when he sent it to her to look over it, because she went, oh, this guy's going to get in. He's great. I remember that conversation. It was cool. And then you did. So we were right.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I remember that conversation.
Well, tell us a little bit about your project, and then, well, actually, how it started, and definitely about your experience in Singapore.
Huge pivots. My project, and we were just talking about this before we went on live, is not something I'm passionate about, but it's something that I really think is so needed and necessary. It's just a little past my skill set. But my original project was like to support teachers with data, because I feel like we're getting a lot of data and we're spending a lot of time with it. There's got to be a faster way to get like meaningful information out of it. I think that's something my teachers struggle with the most. I think, part of it has to do with just the fear of sheets. And then, how many teachers do you have a background in, data analysis? It's not why we went to school. So I feel like, I still feel like if anybody's looking for a project, I hope that's it. And we have a guy who's actually kind of taken that on. He just started something else. He's basically building out a project to help teachers do that. And I was like, all right, well, I'm with you on this. He was like, yes. So, cause he's pivoting too. So then like I was kind of working on that, and then I switched. I like virtual field trips a lot. It is my social studies teacher heart. In our curriculum, I actually sat down and like found all the Nearpod and Google like virtual field trips and like matched it up to the curriculum for my high school teachers. So hopefully this summer I'll be able to do something similar for all the other grades. But I wanted to make like a searchable site, but it just didn't. It was too much. It was because that world moves too fast for me to create to keep up. And then about that time is when global was starting to get started. COVID was starting to hit. I was launching the South Louisiana GEG. And that's when worlds collided and global started. And I sat down with that group and I was like, look, this has to be our project. Like we have to get this approved because I can't do two. This is this is taking up a lot of space because COVID was wild. It was, I lived on my computer. I was on it all day, just helping people, and people were coming to training like crazy. So it was good. it was a good busy, but it was wild.
Oh man,
So,
I can only imagine.
anyways,
Well, we lived it. I saw you. I saw
yeah,
all of you do all of this. So
our teachers showed up, and this summer, like we're about to plan our summer PD, and I'm looking forward to it because they'll show up. It's not like I'm planning something where people won't be there. My only goal is I better be good enough.
yeah.
So I applied to Innovator on that data project though initially, and then went to Singapore to the Google Innovator Academy there with Stephanie Rothstein. And I mean, you talk about imposter syndrome. Like Sethi was there. Yeah,
Yeah. You just said that. I was like,
him, and I was like, oh, I am not supposed to be here. Like, I was Googling these people, and they were coming up with these like YouTube channels that had like 1 million followers, and I was like, oh, because I really didn't think I was going to get in. I'm a good writer. I will say that. I'm not very, I'm not one to toot my own horn, but I am a good writer. Generally, that's my strong point. If they have like an essay portion, at the same time, that's not fair. To people who are, and I hope Google really does work on like translation and stuff like that. Because we had a lot of people in our cohort, the English was like their 4th language. It was crazy. There was one lady, she kept apologizing, and I was like, Ruth, I speak 1 language. Like, you speak 4 well. It's cool. I was like, it's me that needs to listen better, not you. And she was like, okay. So, yeah, there were some real people there. So it was cool to learn from. It's still cool to be, connected. Gary Garcia wished me happy birthday the other day with like a picture of us. I was like, oh. So, but it was great. It was great. It definitely changed things for me. It just puts you on a work for free trajectory. There's a lot of work into it. Every time I try to recruit somebody from my district, they're like, I see all the stuff you do, Bonnie. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But it's doable. If I really didn't think I was going to get it. I actually wrote for grad school, we had to write like a snapshot of our life. And I wrote about Innovator, but it was also mostly at the Singapore airport where my better half got detained and I had 7 heart attacks in 30 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
He knew he was going to get detained. He knew. That's the problem. And I was so mad, because I knew as soon as they took him, I was like, he knew this was going to happen. And because he's military and all this stuff. And then I was like cartoon character mad. And then he came through, and I am like most of my other South Louisiana women, I'm very easily appeased by food. And I swear he went and got a tea, and they put condensed milk in their tea there. And I drank my little tea, and I was like quiet again. I was like,
there you go. So now you just gave your district just the, what what to give you to kind of calm you down. That tea with condensed milk, that'll bring Bonnie down.
French fries, like I get hangry for real. So it is real. And I know, like, he's very I don't know, he's probably listening, but he is very good with details, because of his background. And that's great. Like, he knows my shoe size. He knows how to, everything I do. Like you say, he watches his stuff. He watches S Triple G with me and Steph. And he's like, what are y'all doing? Nothing. Okay, we made a fake award show. He's like, which is, probably our favorite project. We have another episode coming up in April. I'm excited.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. So that's great. So, I mean, like you said, and I was mentioning, and we were talking backstage, pivots are never a bad thing. I mean, and we're not just talking about Innovator, but I mean, just in life in general. I mean, whether it's professional or personal, I mean, there's going to be always a fork in the road that we're going to have to pivot. And, it's just what you make of it. And like you said, sometimes, stuff breaks, but you try new stuff.
I really feel like very much like my career has been like just a series of odd pivots, like that. Like, I'm really into socials. Like I said, I got a whole master's degree just in history, not education, because I like it. My bookshelves are full of like serious, intense books. And then, but at the same time, like I was getting good at the tech stuff. And it was just like a natural pivot to become what I started to do. And then I had to get the paperwork to back up my job because they gave me a tech job and I had no like paperwork to back up I should be hired for this job. So I went back and got my ed specialist in ed tech to make sure. And it was a good process, though. It was good.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you something about that real quick, just because maybe it's a similar experience, but you got the job and then of course you said, oh, I don't have a paper to back it. Like, talk about like maybe even imposter syndrome too. I mean, as you're in there, you're working with admins, you're working with people that do have a master's degree and have those things. Was there ever any kind of doubt, kind of like, security wise, I guess, job security?
It wasn't security. It was like, and I have an addiction to going to grad school, but it's a very expensive addiction.
Yeah, you and I were like, well, we like to and Rick too, Frederick. We like to collect expensive pieces of paper.
Yes, when my brother graduated, he graduated from one of the universities I've gone to, and we're there. And we bought him a frame for his diploma, and David just bought me one. He's like, "'Cause you need to frame these, Bonnie. They're just like sitting, I don't even know where." And I was like, "They are." I just have them. I need to put them like you. But yeah, no, it wasn't like I knew my district, like I was fine. But like if I ever did want to go and do something else, I needed to have like the corresponding. And I know piece of paper, I know Google is offering, like, I'm interested to see how they're offering all the certificates.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a big problem we have is like teachers now there's such a push for them to teach like computer science. And I'm like, well, that's a great idea. But like elementary ed, you don't even really specialize. And no, I love elementary people. And let me tell you, when I show up to an elementary class, they let me in. They're like, I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to run to the bathroom for 5 minutes. Can you fix my stuff? They're so welcoming and kind. But that's that, kindergarten, the big push for STEM is really hindered by the fact that that's not our background. And that's, so I'm interested to see how these new Google, like their little certificates and stuff.
Well, I think, I had Dr. Corbet here, who was actually one of my professors in the grad program for EdTech. And he's talking about, he goes, if universities don't get on the ball, people are seeing like, hey, you know what, with a certificate is and specializing in a certain area, like those specializations, badging, digital badging, all of that good stuff. That's now, pretty much on blockchain and, follows you anywhere that you go, like even our credible, our Adobe level 1, level 2s, all of that stuff. I mean, universities really need to get on the ball because now they thrive. They need people to attend and take those courses. But if they can take those 4 years and do it in a program here that's self-paced and it costs a fraction, I mean, that model right there, I mean, it's going to be something that's interesting. And then now you're going to look at people that have more of those specializations. And so I think, like, at least with my program that I did, they had a stackable where it was the master's in ed tech, but then I also had e-learning and technology leadership, because they kind of see ahead, like, we need to provide these things because sometimes the difference between two people with a master's but this person has these 2 additional, it can make a big difference, and all of that. So
mine has it. We're okay. So me and Fonz also shares my expensive paperwork thing. So
yes,
I don't know how he does it. 'Cause like, I'm pretty sure grad school, I'm getting my doctor as well. And it feels like my time, and Fonz still has time to do like 2 of these
a week.
Crazy. It's crazy. I'm like drowning, and it's just like, got another one this week. I don't know how he does it. Mine it rolled in with instructional coaching. There is a certificate you can get from LSU in instructional coaching. And then like that's rolled into mine. So this summer I'll be taking some course in that, which I'm excited about. But Baton Rouge, I'm really excited. We have something now called BR Bites. I don't know how open it is. And it's cool because they pay teachers to go in the summer and get trained and to learn like basic, computer science stuff. And then like there's a curriculum like that's hands-on that they can use in their classroom. So I'm super excited. And then if anybody has heard anything about Amazon, there's a lot of money to be found right now and support in introducing computer science. Amazon's got a really good program that they just released, and I've got some schools enrolled in that. And I'm going to, in a year, I'll let you know how it is. But was excited because that also, I feel like people are picking up on the fact that they need teacher training. You can't just be, here's a curriculum. It has to be also like, we're going to pay you to train you kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's important. Those are some of the discussions I'm having with one of our content specialists, where it's like you're writing the curriculum and you're giving the standards, like what you need to cover, but how are we training the teachers to really see, okay, if we're teaching the standard, what are some effective ways of actually gauging that learning took place? Is it going to be just quizzes? Is it going to be a test? Can it be, an authentic learning artifact, whether it's a recording, a video, the student really actually creating something, and there's so many different ways to assess it. But oftentimes it's, well, this is the way it's always been done. A, B, C, D. And I'm like, yo, like, sometimes it's like, you have to have that ability to allow the students to create and really take ownership of their learning. And I know we probably this last year through pandemic, we've actually, it's amplify creativity or amplify student choice and student voice, student choice, student voice, and advocating for that. And I know it's been very difficult, but we say it, but are we training the teachers to know what that looks like? And so we all just have to work together on those things. But hopefully, like things will change. I know that, for us, I think what next year's looking like is that we're all going to be coming back like 100%. At least that's what it seems like. So we'll see how that goes too, because that'll be something interesting else as well with all the tech that was purchased. Those are other conversations that can be had later on and so on. But let's dive into maybe one of the questions now, now that we're talking about, our job setting and things. But thank you so much for Abbott, who's joining us from the UK. We've got Pili from Monterrey, Mexico. We've got Gerardo from Campeche also, who's joining us. And of course, the wonderful Steph Rothstein, who was just on the show this past Wednesday, who's joining us from California. Thank you all. And Mel from Colombia, of course, we can't forget Mel. Mel's always awesome.
That was a favor this morning. Thank you, Mel.
Yeah, she's on the website. Yeah, she's amazing. She's always, there for support. And so Steph says here, I love when Bonnie says I've got schools enrolled in, and she oversees like 300 schools.
None of the stuff's written down. It's all like up here. It's for a little while they had a middle school guy, but his wife got a job in Tennessee, so now he's going. So I'll be back to like 22 schools or something, some crazy.
There you go. Well, talking about that, like what have been some of the challenges that you have currently right now as your specific role, and what are some of the things that you're doing to overcome, or how have you overcome? Maybe you want to talk about something specific, or just overall. I have a
very specific answer for this, because it's something that is really cropped up last week, and it really brought to my attention. Is like we've been 1-to-1 for 5 years. We've been on this Chromebook kick for a while, so that was great. Whenever COVID hit, we already had, we didn't have devices. We're a 1-to-1 third and up. We had to buy a bunch of tablets for like pre-K, but anyway, and teachers were really like forced to learn. Like all this time, I've been preaching the ed tech gospel, and I was just at a point where teachers had to learn. And so now we've been back face to face since October, and I've noticed that like if something broke when we were virtual, they had to use it, so they made it work. And now, like I had some issues with a Google form, and it kind of turned into a mess. And it was back to that whole like, see, this is why I don't use technology. Mm-hmm. And it made me sad because I was like, oh no, we were doing so many cool things. Like, let's do the cool things, and it's still things are still going to go wrong. Like I said, like break things. I break things all the time. But now I just use version history to fix it. But that's my biggest challenge right now, is like teachers are just so overwhelmed, and they're like, I could just go back to paper right now, mm-hmm. and it would be easier. And it is not a criticism of them. I need them to like keep the faith.
Yeah.
Like if something goes wrong, don't just go back to paper or think I'm never going to try this again.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that we're going to start seeing, or like you mentioned, even now you're seeing it, because when you come back, you're going to come back to your comfort zone. You're back in your classroom, And all of a sudden, it's kind of like muscle memory. I mean, you've been doing this for 15, maybe even if it's just like well, actually, maybe even the teachers that have been doing it the least, maybe still a little bit more into the tech, but you're talking about veteran teachers, maybe 5 years plus, that have been doing things a certain way. And when you come back, it's like muscle memory all over. It's like, okay, for this is the handout, this is the printout, go to the copy machine, do this and so on. So what now it's going to be, like you said, it's just advocating for just to find that fine balance of saying, hey, remember the way this was online. It says you can still mix this, you can blend this with your current curriculum, because there are some things where the tech will facilitate. The tech is the tool, it'll facilitate a lot of the things. And one of the things that I loved the most, that is always ingrained in my head, and I don't know why, for me, this one was like one of the biggest victories that was ingrained in my head, is having a teacher from 30 years plus already, veteran teacher. When I first showed her how to use, Google Sheets and things of that sort, she straight up just told me, and we became friends. She was very hesitant. She's like, I don't like the tech. And she even came up and told me, I'm not. And I said, okay, no worries, but when she found herself needing to, because it was like, hey, this is what we're transitioning, went and, taught her a couple of things. And, you're talking about a veteran seasoned teacher that I looked up to, because, I mean, she's pretty much an institution in her district. And, when she said, Alfonso, not a lot of people teach me things or have taught me anything, but you did. And you made this so easy. And from then on, like, she had my number like on speed dial. I was like, my extension and everything. And, it was great. And that to me is like one of the biggest memories there. And now when she said, this can prolong my teaching career, for those veteran teachers. Now, I think that's something that's great, because it says, hey, something broke, but we're going to fix it, and we can blend it. We can blend the two, and we can make it happen. They can live together in the same space. But I think oftentimes, because the curriculum might be on a time, like it needs to get done by this, it's like, I don't have time to fix
I don't
this.
have time to learn this. I don't have time to teach the kids how to do this. I don't. You totally.
Here's the handout. Here's your handout. Kind of deal. So, hopefully, those are going to be some of the struggles that I think a lot of people are seeing right now, especially, the instructional techs or the coaches and things like that, to just still continue to fan that flame of the tech use, within the classroom. And, again, using it as a great tool for learning. So, yeah, for sure.
Well, like our state curriculum is a big PDF. It does my teachers no good. And it's got all the worksheets or whatever in it, but they're all PDFs. So this year we did buy Cami, and that was a big part of my training. I was like, just take the curriculum, fan it out, and divide this up, because it does nobody any good. So when they're doing what they're supposed to do, they're basing it on this PDF.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. I think that's the way it is for a lot of districts everywhere. But even with that, what have been some of the highlights, maybe some of the biggest surprises in the last few months that you've had?
Well, I think, honestly, personally, is my vaccine. There was a point where I was sad. I was like, this isn't going to ever get back to normal. Like, it's just not going to get right again. And so when I got my vaccine, though, and I feel like Louisiana is kind of on the uptick. Texas, y'all open for business, whatever y'all doing over there. I saw pictures of Rangers game, 40,000 people there. I was like, well, but I really has, like, it has definitely put a little pep in my step, planning the summer. And I hope we can help everybody get it. I know, like, I'm in a pocket, and I think people in my state don't want to necessarily get it at first. But I've also seen people who are very hesitant, and I know, we're like, all right, I'm gonna get it, and I was like, oh, good, so we can go back to normal. And then, like, professionally, I've just had a lot. Like, I don't know. I'm always, like, getting through to new people. I've built some bridges with guidance counselors who do a lot of testing. And, like, even though they should not be working over the break, I saw that a counselor, like, made a form. And I told her, I was like, just share it with me and I'll help you make that sheet where it's, conditionally formatted and everything, where you'll look at it and all the information will be there. And I saw she shared it with me over the break. So just building one bridge at a time.
There you go. And it all comes down, and we were talking with Steph, and it seems like a lot of people that have been on the show, starting I think with Chelsea Robertson, we were talking about relationships pretty much in everything. Yeah. Those are so important, those relationships, that psychological safety of, hey, I don't know how to do this, but I know I can go and ask, and people can feel supported. And I think that's something that's great, building those relationships one person at a time. It's just like, hey, my EdTech Life, connecting educators one show at a time. It's like kind of like, the relationships are important.
It's one thing. And then like professional, like I don't know if she's watching or not, but she probably will. I work with a girl named Jaleesa, and she's a really good instructional coach. She's better at me than giving feedback. So we've been kind of pairing up and going to classes together, and she's really good with like the curriculum feedback. And obviously I'm, look at the tech and stuff, but I am bad because I'm just so excited. I'm like a golden retriever in your class. And I'm like, hey, I'm so glad. Thank you for letting me come in. Look at you using all your stuff together. And I need to work on like giving feedback that's also like constructive. Like, hey, what can you do? I'm too nice. Nice.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go the other way, kind of like, no. Well, she's better at it because
she's better at it. She can like say like, this is great, but this is what you're going to take to the next level. Yeah. I'm just so excited that everything is working. And I don't have to fix anything. And I'm like, look at you and everybody. I'm so excited. No, I am excessively nice. If anybody ever lets me come in there, I am, I'm totally that lady. Okay,
and even virtually, Bonnie is just so excessively nice. She's just amazing and always very supportive. So it's always great. And and that's why I always say it's like I'm president of the Bonnie Chelette fan club, all the time.
It says Alfonso Mendoza fan club.
So Bonnie, so what are some of the things that you're currently doing, for people that are in EdTech roles such as yourself and myself for our districts? What are some ways or some things that you can share on how you continue to learn to stay on top of, what is out there?
Oh, I definitely think to take Alfonso's phrase, like getting clicky with it, like seeing, like I read, I'm late to the game, but I'm obsessed. This summer, I'm going to build so many things with that. Like because the summer's different. Like I'll have a lot of trainings, but I won't be visiting schools and stuff. So always like in the back of my mind, have like summer projects. And I want to like make a whole hyperdoc with IORADs on how, like if you're a new teacher, how to log into payroll, how to log into, like your email, how to reset your email and all those different things so that like people who are new aren't freaking out. Because there's this whole infrastructure of, all the different places where you get all your documents and all the things you need to do. It's that's kind of what I'm thinking of right now for the summer. And then some trainings, like I said, we're getting our calendar together next week, mapping it out. But for anybody who wants a role like mine, like I said, it's like building relationships. I rarely go to a school where they don't know who I am at all. So, it's just, kind of just helping as many people as you can and getting that reputation. I'm also on that Stephanie Rothstein. I worked in the same place for 13 years plan. And it's slowly over time, like everybody at the middle schools, like I said, we had a guy that's working at middle schools and he would laugh. He's like, I don't step on a campus where they don't tell me to tell you, hey. And I was like, I've done a lot of favors. There
you go. And it just comes back to that relationship building. So that's amazing. So yeah, that's awesome. Now, talking about this, maybe some of the biggest failures that you've seen this year, maybe you've experienced yourself.
Other than taking my current, one of my current classes that I hate the most in the whole world. It's terrible. It's so bad. Oh, look, see, I told you Jaleesa's here. Look at that. Somebody recently called us Ebony and Ivory, which I found hilarious. But my biggest failures, and there are a lot. But I feel like Innovator teaches you to think of them as opportunities and not failures. That's their whole, I don't like saying the fail bell like everybody else. So I don't know. I have to think about that one. It's hard.
We can come back to that one. I know, like, I think for me, one of the things was just ringing the fail bell. But I mean, to me, it was like no big deal. I was just like, okay. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just one of the things, like you said, it was like I had to pivot. I mean, it was just, and I love that you said, and even for those that may be listening, that maybe don't have maybe a concept of what we're talking about in context. We're talking about, our Google Innovator experience. But again, that experience, you can definitely, it can either be personal, it can be even professional, but taking a pivot, changing, sometimes, you're going full force and you kind of like lose that passion or that momentum. But then all of a sudden, in an organic way, you don't really even notice that something that you were already doing was like, whoa, like this was it, this was the route, because you just started kind of pushing in one direction. So
That's
again,
me.
and that's the way it works. It's a fork in the road.
That and maybe that is my biggest failure, and something that I was talking about earlier. Like, I really do want to help teachers with like the data part of it, and I haven't come up with a way to just like import things into sheets and and export information. So that, I think that is, but I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it, or at least finding somebody else that knows more than me. Luis is so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. But it's like bridging that gap, because when you start a sheets training, everybody's like, ugh. And helping teachers with that. So that might be a summer series I do. I'll try, see if we can get some.
There you go. See, those are some great ideas that are already coming from here. Just having a conversation and just talking it out. So that's really great. I'm getting motivated too, and I'm getting ideas and jotting them all down right here. And then they'll transfer to paper, or like all of our audience members, you can either rewatch or listen to the show later on, on your time, and see what we all talked about. But let's see here. So now, let's talk a little bit about this, just to get, people to know you, and just, this is just totally casual conversation and I love it. But, for you, who have been some of the three most influential people to you?
Okay. Well, I have to collectively put all the teachers in my family together, because I grew up, and maybe that counts as all three. Like, I grew up in a family. My mom's a teacher. I've got like 3 or 4 answer teachers, tons, even more cousins. We've got a school nurse. It's just, and so I grew up like on summer vacation hearing about school. It's all like school is second nature to you. Like, and I always, when I give trainings, I imagine like my mom and Aunt Trisha in the background being like, this is stupid. Because they're often like those two old Muppet guys, like they're mean. Like, I tell them that to their face. It's not like, and but like my whole life, like I've heard about like what bad presenters do. Like, maybe there's not a book about it, but like, we had to go to PD and they made us do this and blah, blah, blah. And so I think like I internalized it over the 30 years I was, hearing about it. So, and when I changed my major to education, my original major was engineering. Oh, my mom was mad. She was so mad. She was, but it's because she didn't want me to, she didn't want me to do the hard work and not get paid enough. And that's why I tell my daughter, I'm like, you're not going to be a teacher. She's so going to be a teacher. There's nothing I can do about it. She writes objectives when she plays school. Like, it's not even, she's 9. So, I definitely think, like I said, all of my family as one has definitely, I'm the only one that's not a teacher too. Out of everybody, it is a strictly a teacher. There are no principals. There are no nothing. So I was the enemy for a little while. It was like, oh, you're doing that. You're going to be those people. So.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and my mom still says stuff like that. Like, it's still, man, keep you humble. She'll keep you humble. Oh man. So the other 3. I mean,
two more.
Oh, definitely. I know it sounds crazy. But I wrote a story about my daughter. She's 9, but she's like so brave and empathetic and creative. She drives me nuts. But I definitely, like, you always look and you're like one day I went in a room and there were just strings everywhere. And I was like, what is this? And she was like, I'm so glad you're here. I need you to film this. And she's like, hey, Google, play circus music. And there were trapezes like all over her room. And it was hilarious. But I was like, imagine just being that bold. Oh, sorry. My Google heard me. So, hey, Google, stop. Sorry, it played circus music.
I love it. That's awesome.
I don't know. And then I don't know. I know he's listening, so I'm going to go ahead and say my better half because he sent me a text about people going back to their basis of training, such as I couldn't do all my stuff without him. Like, like I wouldn't be back in grad school, wouldn't be doing all these things. And I'll go ahead and the 4. And then like Steph R, you have a bad day, man. Steph R is a person you need to text. And she needs to proofread all of my strongly worded emails because I'm like, this is what I'm gonna say, and she's like, well, how can we word that different? She does her little Berkeley spin on it, and it doesn't sound so mean.
I love it. Oh, well, that's great. I mean, everybody that you describe is just something amazing. Just your family, and again, going back to just knowing you virtually and never meeting you in real life, but just being able to see.
ISTE in New Orleans.
Yeah. And I was going to say, but being able to see, you and your daughter, go and doing the activities, you and your better half also, and just seeing you and your work. And of course, being part of these presentations, either presenting through Global or either just here being on the show and things of that sort. It's just been great to really get to know, you and get to know what you do and, find a lot of those commonalities. And I know that there's a lot of educators out there that may be going through the same thing and, similar phases, but it's great that they're listening to somebody that they may see on Twitter or on social media and be like, oh my goodness, that's, she's an innovator, she's got it all together. And
I don't have it all together.
So
I don't. That. The other day I went to the gym and we have these stations and I literally fell on the treadmill, did the row wrong and wasn't paying attention for the instructions for them. And I was like, I swear, guys, I'm not stupid. I do not have it together.
So just as we wrap up our show and our conversation, which has just been awesome. I've loved it. I thought that it was I was like, man, I don't know if she's gonna come in just really guns blazing and everything, but it was just great because I know you, Bonnie. So but it's great to just have been able to have this conversation with you. But what is your number one takeaway that you want our listeners to take?
Well, I would definitely say Fond inspired me. He reminded me of my Twitter banner, and it says, break things and try stuff. And I do. I think that's my house is like a science experiment. I'm always like, oh, this isn't working. What can I, how can I cleverly, cheaply fix this problem? And I do. I think people, and if you want to apply for any of these programs, you should. I'm not special. I'm not, you could totally do it. I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, you should get on your podcast is Delisa in the chat. She's #1 world's best instructional coach. And she's got a brand. She's a lot better at me about branding, but, yeah, I definitely think just get clicky with it. Just try stuff. There's so many cool things out there, and don't pick a project that's not your passion. Because the data, I want to fix the data problem, but it's not always my heart's not always in it, because it's not my thing.
Yeah. So, but see, so that's great, just being just so honest and everything. And I think a lot of times, one of the things that I love to do with this show, and again, I mentioned it with Steph on Wednesday, is this is really my passion to really have educators that are on here that many people may look up to. And like myself, I look up to you as being an amazing edu leader. You're a person who's always you're very well versed in what you do, very knowledgeable, but I want them to know that they can connect with you. You're a real person. We don't always have it together, no matter what it looks like on social media and all the things, but it's just about connecting educators and people that may have some questions. And now they can say, hey, you know what? Let me reach out to Bonnie. There was something there in the show, something clicked. maybe I can reach out to her and maybe just
Maybe
get,
a question
some
for
help.
you. I have, we have like it for global, if you ever want to get involved in our leaders, we have like a big Slack channel. And when school, right now we're on spring break, there's so many days I'm like, is this broken? Is anybody else have, and it's so nice to have, and I've made a WhatsApp now with some teachers I know, and it has the same purpose. Like they're like, well, what is the deal with Android and iPhone right now? Like the group messages are just not working. They're not friends anymore. So I had to make a WhatsApp group. But yeah, just having that, like, is this working? Like, please reach out to me. I'm around. And tell me the stuff you're doing.
Yeah, and she's always, and what I love about Bonnie too is that she will give it to you straight. She will, and so she's awesome about that. And in a very in a very nice way, of course. I'm just saying, but I mean, when she gets to know you, like I know her, I appreciate it because it's so refreshing. Her refreshing honesty. Because sometimes, like you said, you can go and, oh yeah, maybe you can do this or do that or whatever. But now it's like, with Bonnie, that's why sometimes, like when I message Bonnie or whatever, I know it's like, yeah. Or there's certain people that I'll message because I was like, dude, just give it to me straight. Like yes, no, go this way, go that.
Yes or no, just tell me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And I've worked on that. I think when I was in my 20s, I was maybe a little worse about it, but I've worked on like rounding the edges of it.
Hey, just a little bit of tea and condensed milk and you'll be good.
I'm a good editor. Steph always laughs. I'm like, take this word out. No, like, because I am an editor of all things. That's what the job I miss. Because I'm like, take this word out. Nope. Do you need this sentence? Like, I'm all state MVP editor.
There you go. Well, Bonnie, thank you so much for being here. And please let our audience members know where it is that they can go ahead and connect with you.
Yeah, you know what? Probably if you're on Twitter, just reach out to me there for sure. Or you can find me like my global email is at bonnie@globalgeg.org. And then I am working on, you helped me pick out my my website name, didn't you? I was asking about it, but it's techbond.us. So it's like tech bonus. And I'm trying to build up my YouTube I feel like my teachers are really being receptive to videos. So I've been trying to build up like 15-minute videos that explain things. Almost like trailers for trainings. So
there you go.
That. Yeah, like, and I'm thinking that this summer I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna do a training on Canva. Here's 15 minutes. If you would like, the rest of it, let's sit down for an hour and play.
Yeah. Maybe give them a little bit less so you can entice them.
I know.
Yeah, you just really build up that hook and they come in and everything.
Thinking about some trailers this summer.
Oh, that'll be fun. That's always great. Well, Bonnie, it is a pleasure. Thank you so much because, I mean, it's just the ability, like I know we get so busy and so wrapped up and just to be able to have you on the show. And of course, this great week, I mean, I had your partner, for the SGGG. And so that's always great. And we're looking forward to that next show that'll be coming up. When is that one coming up?
Oh God, it's she knows it's in April.
Yeah. Well, Steph will let us know, and we'll definitely. Hey, Dr. Shan is here. Hey, Dr. Shan, love Dr. Shan. Follow her on Twitter too, as well, if you can. And then, of course, the 25th. So now we go. So SGGG on the 25th, and it's an amazing award show, guys. I mean, you really, really, really need to come and check it out if they put it up there, or even just find it on, I think it's on Global GEG, right? You can find them all. You can find them all. And it's just a great way for educators like ourselves.
That's how that's it. And look, if you think that is organized, it is me and Steph just being like, it would be funny. Like, but whenever you were mentioning the podcast when she's on here, we have mentioned it. She has something she calls Summer Steph, who apparently works more, which is, I don't even understand how that works.
I think Summer Steph might have maybe like 30 hours in a day as opposed to us mere mortals who only have 24.
I told her once, I said, we could do one. I said like once a month. I don't think we could keep up with your pace funds, but I was like, we could do like one.
Yeah. And you know what? It's just out of just the passion. I think this is one of the things that kind of drives me. And it's so weird because I tell people, they're like, how do you do all of that? And I said, well, there's the work part. But then this is actually like an outlet for me
Yeah.
because it's kind of goes back to one of those things where it's like I have a conversation with people, like, you just talk and you just kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And that's what I love the
Say I
most.
wanted one with happy hour, like a teacher happy hour, because I have a group of friends. And I learn. They keep me grounded too. With I'll go happy hour with teachers. And if you're not a teacher, they will let you know like where you need to focus. Talk about shooting straight. 2 margaritas, and you can find things out about your position. But like, Bonnie, that's terrible. I can't believe y'all did that. Okay, let's try again.
Oh, wow. Well, Bonnie, thank you so much. And I want to thank all our audience members that joined us here live. Thank you, Dr. Shan, Gerardo, Pili, Abid, Steph, Jalisa, who I just met today. Thank you so much for joining. I hope and Mel, of course, and everybody else that's listening to us or will be rewatching the show or listening to it later on your favorite podcast player. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you and everything that you do and supporting our show. And like you can see, it's all about just connecting, being real. And again, connect with Bonnie. She'll be more than willing to help. And of course, don't ever be afraid to pivot. Don't ever be afraid to break stuff and try new things and try stuff.
History now. Like
that'll definitely work. But thank you so much. And my friends, as always, please make sure you check out our website at myedtech.life, where you can catch all our previous episodes. You can either watch or listen. And please, if you'd like to be an amazing, amazing supporter, if you can go over there and rate our show, or if you'd like to just send us a message, I would love to get some feedback from you. If maybe there was a guest that, inspired you, or there was an episode or something, please feel free to reach out, share with us. We do this for you, and we just want to make sure that we're bringing you the best, and I'm giving you the best of me to share with you as well, along with our guests. So please feel free to drop us some feedback, and you can even check out our merch too as well. We have a merch store.
I need to get some new merch. I love like 80s. Oh my God, I love it so much.
Yeah, we've got our new Stay Techie line that's out there for the spring and summer. And so you can go ahead and check that out as well. But as always, thank you so much, my friends. And till next time, stay techie, my friends.
Bye.